Honolulu, Hawaii. It's Baptiz by Fire. And here's your host, Justin Baptiz.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Baptiz by Fire, Conversations with Justin, where we dive into the stories, struggles, and triumphs of our incredible guests. I'm your host, Justin, and today on the show, we have a very special guest, singer, songwriter, talented musician, rising star, up-and-coming artist here, and I'm pleased to have her with me, LuLu.
Thanks for having me. This is so cool.
How you doing, my friend? What's going on with you?
Nothing much. Just, first of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for reaching out. That means a lot. And I'm excited to just chat it up with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, getting to know you a little bit more. You just recently moved to Hawaii of December of 2024. So just how have you been experiencing the Hawaii lifestyle?
I love it so much. And I don't know, I feel like what I said when I moved here, it didn't really feel like an adjustment. You know, I feel like a lot of people are like, so how's the adjustment? How's it getting used to it? And the islands always felt like home to me. So I really feel so comfortable here, and there's so much aloha and so much love, and I've felt that a lot, and I've received that a lot, and so I'm trying to give that back as much as possible as well. But yeah, it's beautiful, and the music's beautiful, and the people are amazing, and eating good food, poke all day. Yeah, it's been really, really amazing.
As I mentioned to you before, you just moved out here to Hawaii, but congratulations on your debut album. I have to tell you, it's an incredible album. You guys check it out on Spotify, Apple Music, the whole 9 yards, LuLu.
Thank you.
In regards to that, what inspired you to create LuLu, and what does it say about your personal journey throughout the years that made you finally decide to come out with a debut album?
Yeah. Well, I feel like one, it's like the producer who I worked with, we just gained like a really strong connection and relationship. And it started with one song, Enough Time. And I met him at his home studio. I wrote this song like in a few hours, and it was so good. We vibed and it flowed so well. And then like that week he like hit me up and was like, so do you want to like write an album? Like, do you want to make an album together? And I was like, yeah, like I think that'd be fire. And I've never, like had a project out before. I don't even think I had any like singles out at this time. This is like 2 years ago. I've been in the process of this for like 2 years. And I think that this album just like represents a lot of like just growth of who I've became, and like I said before, like the experiences that life is throwing at me, and they're kind of just like gathered into this project. And I too like I'm a big journaler, and I think that goes to show with being a writer. I'm always writing, and so I keep saying like this album is really like a little notebook of my journal entries, and I feel like it really I've put out some songs here and there, but I really feel like listening to this album kind of captures like a lot of who I am, and how I write my music and what I want to like portray out into the world, and shows like there's a lot of love that I put into this album. I know a lot of people say that, but it is a really lovey album, and it's high-spirited album. I don't know. I hope people, feel that from this, or good high hopes, But yeah.
One of my favorite songs, and I've listened to the album. I love it. I've even listened to it last night, just to be honest.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
One of my favorite songs, and I think a lot of people's favorite songs. I'm not going to state a lot of people's favorite song. I'm just going to state my favorite. Well, my favorite is Tune In. So just talk about the creative process behind it and just what kind of got you flowing with that one. Right?
Okay. I love that that's your favorite song. Because a year ago, when I came to visit here, when I when I spoke about it before, I came here in 2023 to visit my friends, and I loved the island. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna move here. But it was during that time we were it was a full moon, and it was like me and like five of my friends, and we're in the front yard, and I feel so bad. My friend Andy plays, I call it a giant steel drum, and I can't, a vax of something. It's like big round, and it when you hit it, it's like doo, 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 and like makes this really beautiful noise. And so we were kind of having like this sound bath meditation under the full moon out in this house in the front yard. And this is before the album ain't ready at all. And the producer was also on island. He was staying in the living room, and he heard I recorded that sound, the do 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 that you hear in the beginning of Tune In. And he was like, whoa, I need to sample that. And he put it in, and he made that track like the next morning right here in Kailua. And from there, like the next day I think we were driving to like the North Shore or something, and we were just coming up with like tunes in our head. And one of my girlfriends, Nicole, came up with the hook while we were driving on the Poly, and it was just so perfect. And yeah, and then it just came about that way, and I finished it back in LA, but that song started here on the island. And so that's really cool. I'm really glad that's your favorite song. I'm glad you love it.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like another like cool creative process, like way of how it was written. That was definitely a collaborative effort there, and a long journey of that song for sure.
You
If that
talk,
makes sense.
yeah. You talk about what you hope to gain from people who listen to your album. Now, I gotta ask you, you mentioned about the journey, mentioned about the notes that you write,
Yeah.
everything that is included with that. What experiences or things have you gone through that, made you the person that you are, that was involved with this album?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. One, I think everybody like struggles. Everyone struggles a lot and goes through a lot of suffering in their life. And, I decided, how can I grow from this experience? What did I get out of this experience? How can I share it and bring like light into it rather than basking in the suffering? So I think it's just like a lot of darkness that has occurred maybe. I'm trying to bring all the light into it and flood it with light and bring that out in the music. Not saying like, people write songs all the time that are so personal and like sad or deep, which is amazing. That's like a form of expression of how you're gonna talk about that experience. But I feel like for a lot of these songs, I was like, okay, well, how can I kind of maybe pull from those bad experiences, but make it brighter and lighter and make the story or like what I'm trying to say happier, if that makes sense. I don't know. Because I just want people to be happy. I want people to be happy, especially when they listen to my music, and I want them to, feel some type of warmth for this album specifically. Not to say there's probably going to be songs and albums out there that are going to be sad and make you feel, those deep, deep emotions. But for this one specifically, it's like we could come out of these things and be happy and see the bright side and conquer it and heal.
Is there a specific experience that you've gone through?
I feel like I've gone through a lot of things. I feel like a lot of people have gone through a lot of things, but definitely like relationships in the past, and not having maybe as much respect and love for myself as I do now. But through those experiences, that's what I've learned and taken away. Well, what do I need to do? Who do I need to be in order to be the best version of myself, in order to create these songs and write this music and dive deep? Yeah, I don't know. And just yeah, like I said, I don't know. I think everybody's going through things. Everybody has, and everybody will. And we're all in this together, we're really all in this together. And I think that's just something I want to be connected with the people, and and I do feel connected with them, and I hope they feel connected with me too. And I just believe through music, like we can connect. Like it's the most beautiful thing to bring people together. So I think that's something that I'm really trying to do out here.
You talk about connecting, you talk about bringing music together. I do have to ask you about your songwriting process. Now, is
Yeah.
there a specific setting, a routine that you go through or some kind of environment that helps you?
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten that question so many times, and there's so many different ways. And I guess I'm still learning of maybe one day I'll lock in and be like, this is the perfect way of how I write music. But as of right now, there's so many different ways. Like, some songs are written in 30 minutes, and it was just flowing that day, and it all came out perfectly. And I was like, whoa. And then other days, you know, I'll get the beat or the track that Princeton, the producer of this album, maybe will throw at me, and I'll get the hook that day, or we'll get the first verse, and then I'll go home for months and write and go on and on and on. Or it's really all different. Or sometimes we'll just be there and be just freestyling for like hours and trying to see like what flow and like melodically what sounds great with it. And yeah, I think it really starts for me is like, especially when I'm working with somebody like a producer, anybody who has put anything into the track, I need to like understand what they were feeling, if that makes sense. So like if I hear Princeton bring me a track and I'm like, this is dope. Okay, so like what were you feeling when you made it? Because that's gonna help me now feel that maybe, or maybe feel something else differently, but like we can like bring them together. I'm like such a visual person that I think like just knowing how they visualized it helps me visualize it and then put the pieces together. So I don't know. I don't really have like one specific, writing process. There's so many different ways of how the flow comes in. Or yeah, and being a perfectionist doesn't help either, because you could be on a song for months and then finally be like, oh, it's actually perfect as it was the first day I wrote it. So this could have been out months ago, but we needed these months to figure that out. So sometimes there's that too.
Talk about the visual side of things now.
Yeah.
And then working with people, of course, you've had a
Yeah.
few people that you've collaborated on this project with,
Yes.
including one of your songs listed on your album.
Mm-hmm.
How did collaborating with artists, producers, or songwriters shape the final sound of LuLu? And in creating debut album, was there a specific sound or influence you wanted to incorporate? I mean, and we also talk about the visual side of things. I'm also thinking about also just the album cover as well. So
Yeah.
what was the kind of like the key things that were important on your album cover?
I feel like this album and the process of everything and the shoots and how it was all combined and getting a featured artist was just also, I wouldn't say random, but like there was no like meticulous order or like way of how we wanted to go about the album. Like I really was like, all right, what are we doing today? All right, what does the sound like today? All right, let's get to writing. Oh, this sounds like somebody should be featured on it. Oh, this, like the album cover, we shot that like way too close to call when it came to having to turn this in. Like everything was so last minute. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that at all. We're all learning here. But like for example, we finished Rollin' with St. Anthony, that featuring St. Anthony. But at the time, like when we sang it, or when I sang it, and when we were creating it, and the process going on, we finished it, but we were like, this needs like another sound to it. We need like it's so West Coast feel. We're from the West Coast. We're out here. And we need some like some rapper, somebody to talk their talk, you know? And so St. Anthony, aka Ant, he's like my brother, one of my best friends, one of the most talented people I've ever met. I was like, yeah, no, he needs to be on this track. He really brings like that vibe that I feel. We've collabed and worked together for years now. So I felt like that's another really important thing when you're creating with somebody is like, can you even connect? Do you know each other? Like, do you even vibe well? So we did that and just working with somebody who you're like close with, like I was saying, is like really important to me. And then like when it came to the album cover, I had a whole different idea of what I wanted to do for the album cover and like did a vision board on it, all this stuff. And then we finally we went to the West Side and went to go shoot and totally different vibes, switched it up. My best friend was the photographer. So again, when I'm working with somebody like that, it's just so easy and fun and we're connecting. It's so easy to work with somebody that you just flow with, you know? And so then, yeah, that just took its own turn and we got that shot and that was so different than what I actually had planned. And I think that was kind of like the album as a whole. I didn't plan on any of this. Just kind of going with it and kind of just made sense. It all just made sense.
So you mentioned about the specific sound or influence that you wanted to incorporate. You mentioned
Mhm.
the visual side of things. You mentioned about just the creative process of creating that album and how
Yeah.
it was for you. Now, I know it may be hard to say this, but you've written an album. Is there a specific song on the album that is your favorite? Or do you have a couple of favorites that you like? And what emotions do you bring in when creating these songs? And how do you think these emotions are conveyed in the music?
Mm. Yeah, I feel like it's so hard to pick a favorite. Obviously. But I do think that like different there'll be different moments of my life or different chapters that I'm like, oh, right now, for example, right now, I think Dream State or Peace would be my favorite. Specifically Peace because I wrote it about a year ago. Yeah, like literally a year ago. And it was during the transition from summer to fall to winter, kind of getting more chilly and like, that kind of resonates with us and our transitions and rebirth of life and our seasons are changing and it's time to level up and all that stuff and so I think right now that song resonates with me a lot and it like the name of it just brings me a lot of peace and I've been a little stressed out lately so I feel like when I listen to that song it really brings me to like a meditative state and it really does like slow me down and I feel more at ease and peaceful. Um, but yeah, like at other times, I don't know, sometimes it just depends where I'm at in life. And for some reason, my song, it kind of feels like I always say, like, dang, I feel like I always write my songs for like a later version of myself. Because like sometimes I'll write something and then months or years later, and I'm like, dang, that hits hard right now. It's kind of like, who wrote this? Oh, I did. But like it seems like you wrote it for me right now, which is so interesting. Um, yeah. So, but it's hard to say like one is like the the one. They're all special, but they all have their seasons. I'm sorry, did I answer all the questions? Did you ask something else?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say in regards to that, those songs that you write just based off of what you listen to, or like what you mentioned, those are
Yeah,
probably gonna be on the next album, right?
for sure. Yeah. I, yeah, I'm like really in need of like getting back in the studio and writing and creating. I feel like I've been really craving like creation lately. And I think like just getting the album ready and rolling it out and what do I have to do? And, you know, I'm new to this thing. So I'm like trying to figure it all out and who you reach out to and what's the right moves. And it kind of gets in the way of the music, unfortunately. And, but I understand like that's the part of the game and I got to figure it out. But yeah, it's kind of put a halt on writing, which is really sad. But recently, I feel like ever since I've released the album and it's like physically released and like kind of mentally and spiritually like released from me, I'm like an open canvas and I'm freaking ready. Like I'm trying to write and I'm trying to like make a whole nother project. And like I've been listening to these songs for the past 2 years. So for me, they're not new. And I like, it's not that I'm over it, love it, so grateful, love these songs, are so beautiful. But I'm like, all right, what's next? Like, how many more? Like, let's get writing, let's get singing. I'm trying to make as much as I can, and I think that's like normal for artists, is to just continue the rollout and like one thing's gone this way, and now we're moving this way. But yes, so there will be some songs in the next album that I've been writing up.
What can we expect just off of your second album? Have you, I mean, I know that you've wrote songs and have written a lot of things and have thought about the different experiences and just what you want things to be. But in regards to what we mentioned, right? You talk about more songs, album on the way. Have you thought about any ideas of what the second album will be? What will it entail? Or
yeah, I definitely have, actually. And it's kind of funny, kind of goes back to what I was saying about like writing really positive and happy messages and being like, no, but it's okay, and let's switch the narrative. I kind of want to like dive deep into being more personal, I guess. It's not saying this last album wasn't personal, but I feel like I ended this album with Who Are You, which is the most, I feel like, straightforward of a song, if you will. And, you know, when people heard that, they were kind of like, oh, I was vibing with your album. It's so cute. Oh my God, so lovey. And then they're like, and then I listened to the last song and like, who? What happened? Like, what are we talking about here? And I'm like, oh, I'm just kind of like, it's not that I'm teasing anything, but I did purposely put that at the end of the album to kind of close the door, but open it slightly to see like kind of what are we foreshadowing, what's going to be next. And I really, I just want to dive into more kind of not kind of like storytelling about, you know, some experiences of that I've gone through and I know many people have gone through, and I don't talk about things much. I'm not good at expressing my emotions, as some might say, which is funny because when you hear my music, I think people are like, you are out here literally writing them and then singing them and then putting out into the world. So what do you mean you're not good at expressing your emotions? But I'm like, that is literally the only way I can do it. So I'm kind of like, I'm ready to get that out of somewhere and like really put that into my music and share it and release it.
when you talk about expressing yourself and sharing your emotions and being the creative artist that you are, do you happen to have a few artists that maybe inspire you, or just like who are some of your biggest influences?
Oh yeah. Off the top of my head, like Kehlani, I feel like Kehlani has been a really big inspiration since I was like 14. When she was like strictly on SoundCloud, I was like, "It's my girl." I was like, yeah, super inspired. And like, I don't know. I've always listened to her since I was young, but even going back, like, I just grew up on like Alicia Keys and Whitney Houston and Christina Aguilera and like really just soulful people. I don't know. I feel like I'm inspired by a lot of people. Frank Ocean too. I feel like when I listen to like Frank Ocean's lyrics, I'm like, dang, what are you saying? I need to, like, I want to tap into that. And like, there's just so many different ways that artists express and the words they say and how they say it, or what they're not saying, but what they're really saying, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just so inspired by like everything. I think maybe that's a stupid thing to say, but I feel like I'm really inspired by everything, and I want to like take away from everything and do it all, sprinkle a little bit of everything into it, you know?
Talking about experiences in your life and things that you have taken away from just everything in your process,
Yeah.
but not. Is there anything that you wish you would have known when you first started out in your music career?
That is a really good question. Is there anything that I wish I would have known? I feel like I'm trying to know things now. Like I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah, you know what? I think I would have. Well, I don't know. I feel like it's all a part. Sorry, I feel like I'm like not answering the question. I feel like it's all about experience. I said that word so many times, but like go experiencing things through the process to understand what not to do next time or what to do next time. I feel like I'm just kind of learning like where does everyone stand in this business and what's everyone about and what does everyone believe in and like where's the respect level at with these people and with myself, how I present myself in this, you know, industry, in this field. But I can't really think of anything specific that I'm like, oh, I wish I knew that because I feel like I'm learning right now. Like I feel like I'm just like I'm still trying to figure things out and I always will. So we'll talk again and I'll get back to you on that question.
With all the experiences, with everything that you've gone through, with all the creative process that you've experienced in your career, I just want to know a little bit more about you. So
Yeah.
tell us about your upbringing and how you got involved with music. And, was it your first love? And did you have any
Yeah.
career goals in mind?
So I grew up, you know, just regular schmegler, got my mom and dad, got my two brothers, and really from the age of 4, I was in sports immediately, in soccer and track, started doing volleyball when I was like 8, nonstop, sports. And but I always knew like I don't know how to explain it, but like something in my mind just knew like I wanted to be a singer and I wanted to dance and I wanted to perform and I just loved singing. But no one knew that because I was so embarrassed to sing. And if you even asked me, I'd be like, no, I don't sing. Because I don't know, something, it was so vulnerable to me that it was kind of like I was hiding it so deeply. So forever, just, you know, I did school choir 1 year. That was it. And like, other than that, I was in sports every day after school. You know, social life was kind of there, but it was sports. And then finally, when I was 19, I quit soccer and I was like, whoa, what do I do with my life? Like, I'm not an athlete anymore. And then I got this job. I got this job at like this acai's place. And I remember, like, this is where the light bulb went off. I'm scooping acai. I'm like listening to like my R&B, like Summer Walker playlist on the radio. They probably did not appreciate that radio. And I was like, I can't do this. I'm like holding the sorbet scooper. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not what I like to do. I love to sing. How I'm gonna do this thing. Like in this middle of the cafe, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And I like just this light bulb switched. And I was living in Utah at the time. And I moved home to California and immediately like I posted a cover on Instagram. I've never done that before. That was like the scariest thing. But that was like the first step. And thank God I did it. Because after that, I just was like, yeah, let's go. And so I started covering songs and posting them on YouTube and reaching out to people, and people started reaching out to me. And then met up with St. Anthony and we started making music. And I was like, oh, I've never recorded music like this before. I don't know how any of this works. And then from there, you started meeting people. And then I did little performances back in Ventura. And ever since then, like the ball's just been rolling. And I'm just trying to stay as consistent on it as possible. But I've definitely always known from the moment like consciousness hit myself that like music, singing, and like not helping people, but like somehow connecting with people is what I think I was placed on this earth to do. Like, yeah. So I'm just getting there, just keeping the ball rolling, and yeah, not gonna stop, I guess.
What's kept you going? What's kept you going in music? And I know you mentioned about what you hope for in regards to your expectations of the LuLu album.
Yeah.
So what, just with everything, but
Yeah.
what can we expect from, the future goals, the plans? I know you're working on another album as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. I literally just want to, I wouldn't say I have like these set goals of like maybe like these materialistic goals or like these things where like, oh, I'm gonna do specifically, I don't know, I feel like specifics are like hard to point out. I definitely want to be out here singing on arenas, and I definitely want to be like out here on the stadiums, and I definitely want people to be singing my music with me, and like I want to go as far as I could go with what I do, as I believe that's kind of what we're supposed to be doing. Like with whatever you want to do, like we want to elevate to the highest that we could possibly do it. And the only way to do that is to literally not stop. And I do this because I literally love it. And it like feeds my soul. It's so fulfilling. And I understand that. I've, accepted that and love it. And so why would I do anything else than to do this thing that literally fulfills my soul, and I think affects other people on the way positively as well. So, like I think my goal is to just reach as many people possible, because that means like I'm doing something right, not in like a conceited way or anything like that, but like in a way of like I just hope that it resonates with as many people as it possibly can, because that means like I'm feeling it too. So yeah, my goal is to just elevate as much as possible.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, sorry. I don't know. Like, yeah. Hopefully one day sell out Madison Square Garden. Now I'm getting crazy. But yeah, definitely. I will say like performing is my like, I love performing. I love singing live. I love being around people. It like really gives me energy it fuels me, these live shows and these people in front of me, and the energy I get back really fuels me. So I will say that is my main goal, I guess, is to just continue to perform and be the best performer as I can, as long as like a vocalist as well, of course, but I love performing and I really want to continue to do that. I want to tour. I want to like travel. So yeah. I guess I do have these goals.
Awesome. Well, that's
yeah.
good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of you.
Thank you.
And your career. I love the album.
Thank you.
I hope that everybody listens to it on Apple Music, Spotify. You know where to find all music spots, but it's definitely been a pleasure to have you here, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you, Justin. This is so awesome. Thanks for having me. I love chatting with you. It was really fun. Thank you.
And that concludes another conversation with Justin. You can reach Justin Baptiz on any social media handles listed here. So, until we meet again, remember, it's Baptiz by Fire.